Okay, what's up people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are enjoying the content. Of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Discord channel to Elevate Traders, free to join, link in the description and also at the top of the chat. Can't miss it. You can chat with other traders, join the community, chat with myself. I share some of my ideas there as well. And of course, if you're looking to share some of your ideas or see what other people are looking to trade, you can find all of that plus more in the Discord. So check it out, free to join. But welcome back to another stream, another week, trading week for us. We'll go through the markets as always. What's up, D-Mar? Good morning. Hope you're well. We'll go through the USD side of things first, as always. So take a look at the DXY, USD majors, gold and silver. Of course, any requests, let me know. Any pairs you're looking to trade this week or just interested in or just want my opinion, drop it in the chat. Let me know any time frames in particular if you want me to look at as well. But besides from that, let's get into it. So we'll start with the dollar. So DXY has started off pretty bearish. I said on my weekly analysis that I'm still pretty bearish on the dollar, despite the reaction we had at the end of last week. Of course, we formed support there and price respected it on a number of occasions. So it has been a pretty meaningful level, but as long as price stays below this swing high, I retain that bearish bias. I did say it would be nice to see if the dollar could pull back up, perhaps even come back and retest some structure to form another lower high and then perhaps work its way down from there. Of course, at the moment, it looks like price has respected some resistance to our left and is already looking pretty bearish this morning. We might bounce again at support for a fourth time, which would be pretty impressive, to be honest, for that support to hold on a fourth occasion as well. But we are trading back to support, so I wouldn't be looking to short the dollar necessarily unless you're kind of already in on the lower time frames. Maybe you got short from potentially Sunday evening there. But yeah, we are pushing pretty bearish. I do think eventually we'll see price push back to the low here at 98. And that's still very much my expectation for the dollar. I was hoping to see a bit more strength this week because that would give me an opportunity to get into some USD shorts. The pullback we had from last week with this bullish move isn't quite enough for me to be getting into shorts myself. Maybe again, lower time frame, you might find some opportunities there because the range is tradable there. But me kind of entering on the full hour, even on the hourly, doesn't really do wonders for the risk to reward. So I was hoping for a bigger pullback. We may still get that. Like I said, if we do bounce for a fourth time, that is still very much a possibility. It has held very well as support so far. We'll see if it does again. But if it doesn't and price does break through, there's always the break and retest opportunity below the level, which we were hinting at last week, which I think would be a nice opportunity again, probably something a bit more intraday. And I would expect to push into that swing low at 98. But essentially, all I'm looking for the dollar to do is just continue this bearish trend. And yes, we're looking a little bit slow, a little bit corrective, but I do think we do get there and probably see some new lows. And then maybe after we might see a bigger pullback because I think we're still due one for the USD. We're still due a deeper pullback at some point, but the bears are still very much in control. So I do expect to see more downside this week. For Euro, pretty much the exact opposite. Again, I hinted at the corrective structure. Oh, can't see it there. The corrective structure we've been seeing for Euro, which doesn't really show that the buyers are well in full control. Yes, we're pushing up, creating higher highs and higher lows, which of course does mean the market is bullish, but it doesn't mean strongly bullish. It doesn't mean it's necessarily healthy. So I did anticipate a bit of a pullback this week, especially after the rejection we got last week there on Thursday, Friday. Nice rejection there. Spoke about possibly a retest of this area because this is the higher low, which gave us the drive to the upside. So as long as price, again, stays above this low, I remain bullish. So again, I was hoping for price to kind of take out some of these weaker lows, push down, find support again, and possibly rally from there. And I think that could be a nice opportunity for a buy. And again, that is still an opportunity which could come around if price was to fail at the highs again. I wouldn't be surprised if we do turn around and see that bigger move. But again, for euro, that's still the expectation. I might be looking for a down move, but it's very much just to take it back up again. And if we don't see this opportunity present, then you're probably looking at the break-me test of this high here at 1.144. So waiting for structure to break, a retest, and then continuations back to the high. Basically the same thing as what we saw on the DXY, just flipped the other way around. So still very bullish for euro. 1.156 is still expectations for euro. And yeah, whether we have the break-me test or we pull back down a little bit deeper, that's going to be up to euro to decide. But I remain bullish for now. Again, as long as we stay above that low, that's what I remain bullish. Pound USD, again, for this one, I was looking for a bit of a drop as well. So pretty much the same analysis for most of the USD pairs. Looking for a bit of a drop, some more USD strength, and then for price to buy back up again. I was looking to see if we can come back into this low. We did see price break out of this channel last week with some nice momentum. Wasn't crazily aggressive, but we did clear the low of the channel. Of course, we respected the high there as well. So I was looking for pound to drop a little bit lower, retest support, and from there, hopefully see a nice continuation. And of course, it does line up with major resistance. If I scoot to the daily chart, and if I drag this level across, you can see prior resistance once, twice. It could have been acting as support again. It did initially over there, but would it be nice to catch the double bottom? And then from there, perhaps we just continue the trend. So this is where I was looking to see if I can pick up some longs. Again, I'm not too worried about that because the trend is pretty strong with pound. So if we do see a strong break of the high, I think a retest actually could provide some nice opportunities as well. And again, there's no kind of inherent target I'm looking at for pound because we haven't been at these prices since 2021, 2022. So it's been a while. There is a major high over there at 1.37. I think we could probably be talking about that as a target, to be honest. But yeah, pound USD, very, very bullish as a whole. Was looking for a bit of a drop this week, which again still could happen. We haven't cleared resistance. We could still very much turn around. But the buyers are still very much in control. So I'd focus on the buying for now. And see if we can take it from 1.3858 or 1.343. In terms of Aussie dollar, so again, looking for a bit of a drop for this one. I did say if we can rally back to highs, see what type of price action we can get here. There might be some short opportunities. Again, it is a bit counter trend, but the idea comes from how corrective we've been. Every time the market does stab higher, we do tend to push lower. So if we don't reject the high here, I think there's actually a good chance we do reject the high at the trend line, so the top of the channel. And from there, we could see price push down. But I'm looking for a bit of a drop there for Aussie dollar. But again, the bigger move I'm still very much bullish for as we do push to the low end of the channel. That's still a reasonable place to look for a buy. As you can see how consistent we've been with all of these higher lows. There's a good chance we do see another one because it's going to take some energy for us to break through. But in terms of what we're pushing into, I do like the shorts. I'll actually keep an eye out myself for some shorting opportunities for Aussie dollar to see if I can take it back down into the lows. Of course, depends how price reacts at one of these two areas. And if of course, we do break to the upside through both of them, I'll leave Aussie dollar alone. Perhaps we're going to get the bigger breakout. But basically looking for us to remain in the channel until we don't. Respect the highs, come back down again, respect the lows, come back down again. Eventually, we're going to see a breakout, but it's been well over a month now. So we're just patiently waiting for Aussie to pick a direction. New Zealand dollar, looks like this is starting to pick up some momentum, but for the most part, it's still very corrective. So I'm not overly excited about the price action with NZD-USD. It does look like price is back above this level, but in fairness, it hasn't really been respected too well. It was acting as resistance very well on 3 separate occasions, 1, 2, and 3. So I said a clean break of this, a retest, I think will give us some nice long-in opportunities. Unfortunately, we've just been kind of dancing, zigzagging above the level and below the level. Break above, break below, break above, break below. So it hasn't really been effective as support as it was resistance. And of course, us kind of correctly moving this channel has kind of been the reason of that as well. So if we are going to really break through this, I still want to see some more momentum. I still think a break and retest opportunity is on the cards. I just want to see a little bit more clarity in the price action. So a bigger move to the upside for NZUSD, and then a bigger pullback to retest the level as support. Maybe it does line up with the low of the channel. We have to wait and see. But there still could be some buys there for New Zealand dollar on the retest of that level. It's still a level I'm focusing on, still a level I'm going to pay attention to. But a very kind of impulsive move just to really confirm that this level is well and truly broken, price is now bullish, then I can look for some pullbacks. At the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if we were to push down and close back below the level again. Then we're back to square one. So need to see a bit more consistency from NZUSD above this level, and then yeah, some pullbacks, retest at 0.602 could look very, very good. Over to gold. So gold, we had a bit of a drop. Friday, was it Friday? Yeah, Friday I had a bit of a drop. Again, with gold, I'm still for the most part quite bullish on gold. A lot of the metals have been pretty bullish. And I still think gold is bullish. We had a bit of a drop, but it has come back to the low or the upper end of the channel. And it looks like it's potentially retesting it. So I'm not going to drop my bullish bias until I see price kind of really make its way back within the channel. And then that really does tell me that, okay, gold potentially is bearish again, and this perhaps was just a big fake out. At the moment, I'm still looking for buys, but I won't be looking to try and take any buys until we do break above resistance here. And then hopefully can look for some opportunities on the retest of that. Because if this is a break of the channel, well, there's a pretty good chance that we do get back to the high. So if we're going to respect the channel, I do expect price to push up from here. I'm never really one to try and take a breaking retest of a channel. I always try and take a breaking retest of support or resistance. So that's why I'm waiting for price to clear the high and then perhaps show some momentum and then a retest. Because if we were to clear the highs from here, yeah, that's a very big statement for gold. Because despite the bearish momentum, we still pushed up and still broke the highs. That for me is a clear sign that our next move is probably going to push to the highs and probably create some new ones. So a retest after that, I think, would be a decent opportunity. But yeah, since we're still above the channel, I remain bullish. It's a bit awkward right now, so I wouldn't necessarily be jumping into buys. We've still got this range above us here, which of course price could retest and head lower. So definitely watch out for that. But in terms of some quality buy setups, above the resistance there, 33.88, I think makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, you got silver, which is just looking very straightforward, actually. This was the bonus pair on the weekly analysis. Very straightforward price action. We've cleared this range out the way. I'm simply looking for the retest of that for more upside. We've broken, more importantly, through major resistance on the daily chart, or weekly chart even, which is the high here just below 35. We've cleared that noise. And now as long as we can stay above this, and this doesn't turn into be a big fake out, so as long as price doesn't come crashing back down and close below the level, then I remain very bullish. I've talked about the next big psychological level, which would be 40, which is up there. There we go, roughly. Which I do think is probably the next big target for silver. Again, considering that we do stay above this high. And then we can work our way towards that area. But for now, solid break, a lot of momentum. Now looking for us to retrace. We are looking a little bit tired, to be fair. That looks like the market is starting to ascend and starting to become a bit more corrective. So hopefully the pullback is on the cards this week. Retest around 34.8, 35. And hopefully from there, take it back to highs and just trail stops, really. I don't want to be trying to take profit with this one. I want the market to take me out because who knows, maybe you catch a wild break to the upside. Silver has sometimes those tendencies in these big bull runs. So, yeah, would want to make sure I can take advantage of that. But, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at for now. Silver very bullish. Gold just about bullish, but I'll wait for a bit more development. USD, I still do have a bearish bias. And And we are looking pretty bullish on a lot of USD majors this morning, but just not a big enough pullback for some opportunities, unfortunately. But I won't rule that out. A lot of them approaching resistance, which they could still reject. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD. What's up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Ivan, good morning. Welcome. Cricket, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. Ahmed, let's see GJ and UJ. Okay, we'll have a look-see. Dimar looking to buy gold 1 hour in a sell on GJ. Okay, we'll go through some of the yen pairs. I'll take a look at that gold position. Okay, sell on GJ as well. Okay, I'll start with pound yen. So with pound yen, I was eyeing up this morning, contemplating some shorts at the highs here. Of course, price is back at some lovely resistance. So I was looking at potentially jumping into some sell opportunities. But the rejection wasn't big enough for me to hop in, or meaningful enough on the time frame I'm looking at, which is of course the 4-hour chart. So I'm staying away from the sells for now, but of course we're back at resistance. We could reject this. I think the key thing to note with pound yen is that we are squeezing here. The market has been pretty consistent with these higher lows and pretty consistent with the resistance there. So if you are looking to sell pound yen, I would be very much aware of this upper trend line. You're targeting a low outright, for price to come back to support here or support there. Price has to snap through the trend line first. I think there's a very good chance that we do actually kind of just put another higher low to push higher. So you have to be very careful of that. But for the most part, it's a very good level to short from. Price has rejected this level on 2 separate occasions very aggressively. So I think shorts do bide well from that level. I think hourly chart, I mean, again, I would have liked to see a bit more momentum, a little bit more aggressiveness from the level. It's a little bit flat there, which does tell me that we might find support here, and we might have another rally back to resistance. Now, we might have another rally just to reject it again and come back down, which actually could provide some better entries. But again, depends how far you're looking to take the trade. Like I said, I'll be very well aware of that trend line. But there are probably some other areas to lock in some gains as you do come back into some lows there as well. But yeah, solid resistance, rejecting it pretty well. In terms of what I'm looking at from pound yen, I think there could be a nice opportunity if you do break to the upside, because I'm looking to see if we can push back to the high here on the daily chart. So if I expand to the daily chart, because it looks like we've kind of failed to sell off here, and price did just about break structure here as well. I'm looking to see if price is going to make a move back to the high there. And if we are going to make a move back to the high here, well, I do need to see price commit to the upside, and perhaps that could provide some opportunity on a retest to trade it back into that resistance. If, of course, we don't get the break to the upside, then what I'll be looking for is price to break through the trend line. Because if we do that, then that probably does give us some type of bearish trend on the way down. And then I could be looking at some of these lower highs to trade. I might try and entertain a short-term sell from this level. Like I said, if the rejection is good in the 4-hour and the risk reward is not bad, I may entertain a short there for pound yen as well. But really the interest just depends on this level. Do we respect it and push down, or do we break through? And that will kind of dictate my bias for the rest of the week, really. At the moment, like I said, the rejection's a little bit tame. So I would like to see a bit more meaningful rejection there, maybe a nice piercing wick through the high as well. Really kind of sell the idea that the market is rejecting that level. Not quite seeing that at the moment, so just waiting for more price action to build before I kind of set my bias. But at the moment, we're kind of squeezing. So depending which way we break, whether it's up or down, pound yen will probably give us that. Hopefully at some point this week, we could just dance around for the whole of the week as well. But yeah, I've got targets either side. If, of course, we do break the trend line, then I think eventually we'll probably just push to the low here. So then I'll just be looking to trade it towards that area. But for now, 195.9 is where my focus will be for GJ. Dollar yen will kind of a bit flat, so I've kind of just boxed price off a little bit, to be honest, between support and resistance. You got support there, you got resistance up there, you got the swing high up there, and you got the swing low down there. So essentially, we're just kind of consolidating in here, biding our time until price picks which high or which low we want to move to. If price is going to move back to the high there, again, we're going to have to clear resistance, and that should provide us some opportunities for a retest. I say should, but it could just break out and not pull back, but hopefully we can see the retest. And same thing for the sells as well. That would be a nice opportunity on a retest as well. At the same time, you can trade within the range here as well. Not really my type of trade, but if price was to bounce at the low like we did last week, there could again be a nice bounce there to buy, and likewise with the resistance as well. If price was to get there again, reject it well, I think that's a nice place to short. So you can look to trade within the range or outside of the range. I'm more of an outside of the range type of person. I'm always looking for momentum, and typically not going to see much momentum within the range. But once price does leave a range, well, that normally gives a good kind of increase in momentum and volatility in the market, which gives you bigger trades as well. So I want to wait for the breakouts, even though the targets are not too far away. But that's where I think there could be some nice opportunity there for dollar yen. But at the moment, I would say we're in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't really touch price. I know it looks like we may be coming in for a retest here, but I personally would stay away until we get to one of these two levels, and then we can see whether price is trying to break or respect either of them. So yeah, that's kind of my take for dollar yen. In terms of if I had to pick a bias, I would be bearish on dollar yen just because the market has been in a long-term downtrend and there's no signs of reversal just yet. So I kind of would drift to more of a bearish bias. So I do think the support will eventually break, but we have to be patient because at the moment we're nowhere near the support. That could still take a few days. So that's about it with USD JPY for now. In terms of gold, looking for a long on the hourly chart. So yeah, I think it's in a nice place. Like I said, wrong one. Like I said, we are coming into the low of the channel. We could very much bounce from there and see some upside. We've come back into like an area of demand here to our left where price did consolidate. Nice break to the upside. And now we're back there again. So again, we could potentially push up from here. Like I said, I'm kind of waiting for the break of the high first before I do look for a pullback and a retest, because this will tell me that, okay, the market is trending up again. This was a high low, 1, 2, 3, and then I can potentially catch the fourth or quick retest somehow, and then trade that back to highs. But yeah, I think this is a nice area for buys as well. You do have a bit of resistance to watch out for, which is basically the consolidation above you, because if the market is going to sell off, well, that's where I expect it to sell off from. So have to be a little bit considerate towards that area. But on the hourly chart, again, looking a little bit flat, picked up some momentum there, but not looking great. So it would be nice if we push down, double bottom, and then give us a rejection. That would be nice. And then, yeah, back to highs, and maybe if you're lucky, catch a really big move there for gold. But still very bullish in gold, so I do like the idea. Just watch out for that range, because if we are going to sell off, that's kind of the range I expect price to retest to sell off. So maybe, watching your profits there, managing the trade there a little bit could provide some protection. But it's in a nice area, but this is kind of where I'm waiting personally. Yusuf, what's up, my man? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Darker Sean, good morning, good morning. Naz and Dow Jones 5 minute, no problemo. We'll take a look. XBT, yeah, that is absolutely soaring right now. I just had a look at that one before the stream, and that is absolutely flying at the moment. Good morning. I'm just gonna say Doozy. I was gonna try and pronounce your name, but I was gonna say something that was that's not gonna sound like your name. So Doozy, what's up, my man? Hope you're well. Gold, S&P, we'll take a look. Yusuf, I'm also looking for shorts for GJ because of the resistance level on the 4-hour. I'm just waiting for a setup on the 15. Nice. I mean, I'm pretty much eyeing up the same thing, just not on the 15-minute side of things. Looking to see if we can respect that level and come back down. A lot of the yen pairs actually have hit some big levels. Euro yen, I've had my eye on that one. That's hit a bit of a level. Swiss yen's hit a bit of a level as well. So CAD yen as well. So a lot of them have hit some big levels where we could turn around. I haven't seen the necessary rejection to invite me into a trade just yet, but I'll go through them and share my thoughts. Lordo, good morning. Hope you're well. And King, yes. Pound Aussie will take a look. No problem. Lorda, Euro USD will take a look as well. First, let me just go through NAS, Dow Jones. I'll go through some of the indices, and we'll go through XBT as well. So, NAS 100. Last time I looked at NAS, we had the retest. Yeah, we had the retest there, and price was acting pretty bullish since then, and now we're kind of trading at resistance. So, of course, with NAS, destination, very high chance that it's just going to be pushing back to the all-time highs. We're very, very close to it as well. So it's not like price has a long way to go. 2-3 bullish candles on the daily chart, and we could be at that level. We could be at that level by the end of the week. So, yeah, NAS very much bullish. So I would concentrate with the buys as a whole. We'll see. We'll take a look in the 5-minute second. But I think for a nice opportunity, especially kind of 4-hour hourly chart, I think just a solid break of this level and some retest could provide some opportunities, or even a pullback into this area. I think that could provide a nice opportunity as well. But I think I would prefer the breaking retest of that level. That would be nice. Kind of keeps up with the trend line with these higher lows. But again, if price was to pull back there, I would still be bullish as well. But yeah, from a 4-hour hourly perspective, looking very, very bullish, I must say, for NAS 100. 5-minute chart, I think it looks bullish as well. I like the structure. Push, slight consolidation, another push as well. It's created a lot of support down here. I think that's a nice place for a buy, to be honest. If price can maybe spike to the downside, maybe even manipulate that low a little bit, and then provide a buy, maybe test the consolidation to our left there. I think that could actually be a really nice place for a buy, because take out some lows, test a nice range, which of course gave us a massive breakout not too long ago, and then that allows you to take some fresh lows and perhaps trade that back to the high, and maybe even you try and hold on for a big swing there. I think maybe the all-time high is still a little bit too far away for the 5-minute chart, but you can always leave a position to run there if it does play out very well. But yeah, NAS 100, I like the buys here. The market's still quite flat, so I'll try and look to buy as low as possible, and a test of that range, I think, does give us that, ticks that box right down low, away from all the noise. A lot of people will be trying to get involved in these areas, and that's where people are going to get chopped up. But if you can wait for a push to the lows, that will give us some security with the position, some safe stop losses, and maximize your risk reward as well. So 2 birds, 1 stone there. But yeah, NAS 100, expecting a bit of a push there, and of course it lines up with the higher time frame bias as well. So the buys do really make sense here based on the higher time frame structure. Dow Jones US 30. This one, let me just start on the higher time frame just so I can get a quick gauge of what price is doing. So this one, we did break out of this kind of wedge pattern, and now what I'm looking at is price picking up some momentum. We had a very quick retest last week, so bearish candle into the level, retest, now we're pushing away. But again, I would expect us to break to the upside. Long term, US 30, I do think price is likely to push back to the highs here at 45k. So same old really with the Dow Jones, more upside. So if we do drop to the 5-minute time frame, I'd imagine it probably looks, not as good as NAS. I like NAS a little bit more. This one's approaching some resistance, so I would be a bit careful with that. But again, we might see a drive into the low, and that could allow us an opportunity for a buy. I think the NAS setup looks a little bit cleaner, but if we can see a push back into low, I think that allows us to pick up some longs again with a relatively safe stop, and of course targets back to the high, or wherever you deem which is fit. But in terms of the bigger move, very, very bullish for US 30. Of course, at resistance now, so I wouldn't be trying to pick some longs just yet. But if you could see a drive lower, maybe comes New York session, we push lower, trap some sellers, and then that could be a nice opportunity to take some longs again. But very, very bullish on US 30, expecting more upside there. S&P 500, same story as well, expecting us to push back to the all-time highs, not too far away for the S&P as well. So I think, again, sooner rather than later, we do end up there. We are a little bit corrective in fairness, but it looks like price is starting to break through some resistance now. We've got these higher lows, which price has been very consistent with. So, yeah, I would say if we could push down, kind of test the trend line again, as well as that resistance to our left, I think that could be a really nice intraday time frame. Long opportunity, and maybe something you could probably stretch back to the highs. At least that range there at 6,100. So with the S&P very bullish as well. Similar kind of pattern to in a way to US 30 in terms of, looks like we're breaking out of this kind of wedge pattern here. So yeah, as long as we maintain these high lows, very, very bullish. And even if we do break the trend line, it just means we probably just have a greater pullback before we do push to the upside. But S&P in my book is looking very, very bullish for now. Okay, so I'll go through Pound Aussie and Euro USD. What's up, Julius? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Have I missed out a pair? XBT, yes, I have. If I do miss out pairs, guys, just let me know. But yeah, platinum. Look at platinum. Absolutely bullish as anything. Look at that. Because it's funny, because we've been consolidating since roughly July 2021. And now it's almost July 2025. So that's a solid 4 years of consolidation. So you would expect to see a pretty violent breakout. So seeing price action like this isn't going to be very unexpected. There's always a matter of time, but it's difficult to predict when it's going to happen. It could happen now, could happen in another year's time. Who's to say the consolidation couldn't be 5 years instead of 4? But now it's clear to say that we've got the breakout. We broke out of this trend line a couple of weeks back, or a few weeks back actually. Then we had the retest here. Then that was really the confirmation. Once price held the support there and started breaking through the highs, that's when I said, okay, we've got a breakout. And now we haven't really looked back since. So this is the ultimate target for the breakout, really. We could go a lot further than this, to be honest, and I would expect us to do that. But I think based on the wedge, this is a safe bet for us to get to back to 1276, 1300 we'll call it. It's a safe bet we get through there, but I do think price can actually rip faster and go a lot further. But for now, we'll just call it there. So yeah, very, very bullish for platinum. In terms of opportunities, I was talking about the retest of the high here, but that is in the rear view mirror right now. I don't see price coming back to retest that anytime soon. There is a brief kind of pause here in the market, which I think could see a retest. If I drop to the hourly, you probably see it a bit better. So you can see price kind of consolidated there a little bit. And we picked up momentum again today. So I think a revisit of that is not too unlikely and could actually present some nice opportunities, especially on like an hourly or even a 30-minute chart. And then, yeah, targets back to the high. Maybe you can try and push it a bit further. That big zone on the daily, weekly chart is not too far away now. But yeah, I did speak about the retest of this level. I wasn't expecting price just to rip so aggressively. But yeah, no retest there, and I think I would ignore that level for now because we're just too far away. So a retest of around I say 1,180 I think makes 1,170 makes a lot of sense. And yeah, we'll see how far we can go from there. But yeah, platinum is looking very, very bullish, and I think there's still a bit more room left. What's up, Julius? Any pairs you're looking at? Antonio, what is up, my man? Aussie dollar, okay. What's up? Let's see. Mate, some of you guys trying to do me dirty. Some of the names, not gonna lie. I'll go through pound Aussie, then Euro USD, and Aussie dollar as well. If I miss out a pair, let me know. But pound Aussie, I'm pretty bearish on. It looks like price is slowly dropping, but not really giving me much optimism, to be honest, because when price does fall like this, sometimes we do pick up momentum, sometimes it's a slow start, and then maybe a catalyst comes in, news comes in, and we pick up the pace. But more often than not, it does normally mean we push up first, which is where my analysis last week kind of came in, because I said we were looking very corrective. We might still have one more push up before we do drop. But yeah, in terms of pound Aussie, I'm expecting a lot more downside. We've taken out major highs from COVID there, and that's really set the tone for me, because we had that very kind of anticlimactic move, very, very big bullish candle, followed by a very strong bearish candle coming back down. I know it didn't completely engulf the candle, but it's kind of a very strong push, which is like an inverse V-shaped pattern, if you will. So I do think this this bullish move here is some type of correction for us to continue lower. Now, the overall trend is still very much up, so it might just be a pullback for us to keep pushing higher. And I think that's probably the most likely case, but there's still probably a drop to be had, and where we can take advantage of as well. So that's where the bearish bias comes from for pound Aussie. So in terms of finding entries for this one, like I said, we probably do want to see a push higher, and that gives us the benefit of coming back into major resistance, allowing ourselves to have some stop losses above the high, and then we can target the lows, and you've got a pretty decent risk to reward there. And of course, there'll be levels where you can target beforehand. Doesn't have to be the low outright. But yeah, in terms of pound Aussie, very bearish on this pair. I think 2.05 is the expectation, and further than that as well, but I think we can just call it a day there. But yeah, judging the price action, very, very kind of slow, very corrective. So a push higher would be nice, and then hopefully some sells afterwards. But we might just fall. If that's the case, then I don't really see an opportunity to jump into a trade if we just kind of pick up the pace here. But if we drive higher, keep an eye on that. So yeah, very bearish for pound Aussie for now. Euro USD. So Euro is still very bullish. Bullish this morning. I was looking for us to have a bit more of a drop there for Euro before we do push higher, but looks like we found support this morning and having a bit of a push higher. But for my weekly analysis, I was basically talking about this low being very, very important. As long as price stays above this low, I remain pretty bullish for the pair and looking for a drive back to the high. We've been very, very corrective on the way up, which has made me a little bit with the pair, because I want to see more convincing momentum, a more convincing trend for me to be very, very bullish for Euro. But because we're quite corrective, because we fell at the highs last week as well, I was looking to see if we can have a drive lower, come back and test some support, maybe come back and test this kind of area of demand, put in another higher low, like we did over there, and then perhaps there we see a bigger swing. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there for Euro this week. If we don't get that bigger pullback, then I think the next best opportunity would just be a break and retest with the high here. So a solid break, retest, then continuations back to the higher. But as a whole, I'm still very bullish on Euro. It's just about how deep of a pullback do we get. Is price already done with the pullback and ready to break the high and continue? Maybe. Then we'll wait for the breaking retest of 1.144. If price is going to struggle at resistance and it still wants to push down, take out some of these weaker lows, go collect some more buyers at better prices. Well, 1.127, I think would be a nice area to look at for some longs. And both targets same, back into the high. For me to turn bearish for euro, this low needs to go. If we were to break through that low, then yeah, I would look for more downside at that point. But of course, as now that low is still intact, so I still remain bullish. Just trying to gauge how deep of a pullback we do see here with euro. Okay, so over to Aussie dollar. No problem. United States, happy to help. So Aussie dollar looking pretty bullish this morning, still kind of operating within this channel. So it's just been an annoying price action, I must say. We've got the low end of the channel, which in fairness has respected price very, very well. Can't count how many rejections we've got there, but we've got a lot of rejections. So it's going to take a lot of energy for us to break the low of the channel if price is going to do that. For now, as we do push back to the high, back into resistance or the high of the channel, I think these are some nice areas to sell Aussie dollar, because as long as price remains in this channel, I'm just going to expect price to keep fluctuating until I do see a break that takes us outside of this channel. Then perhaps we got a breakout, and then perhaps we can talk about some other things with Aussie dollar. But for now, as you do push back into resistance or back into the upper end of the channel, I think these are some really nice places to be looking to sell Aussie dollar. So I would keep an eye on some rejection in this area. At the moment, of course, looking pretty bullish now, so I wouldn't be looking to short just yet. And like I said, price might push a little bit higher to tag the upper end of the channel as well. So watch out for that. But this is generally an area to be looking to short the market. And of course, this is an area to be looking to buy. I'm not so keen with Aussie dollar longs unless it does break the channel and comes a lot lower. I wouldn't mind potentially getting to some shorts if the rejection looks good, because the idea is that if I do catch a nice short, perhaps I can ride it to the low of the channel and maybe catch the breakout as well. So there could be some mileage on that trade. But yeah, for the most part, just very, very corrective price action. Did not mean to do that. Not seeing a lot of opportunity there with Aussie dollar. Hope I didn't blind anyone there. That was quite bright. Julius, thoughts on the process of silver exploding while gold is nosediving? Yeah, I'm not too sure about the reason behind it. It's just that, I mean, again, gold and silver, of course, do have a very strong correlation. But if you do look at how gold and silver do trade day to day, most of the time they're actually a little bit out of sync. And of course, Nick does look a lot at the silver to, is it gold to silver or silver to gold? I think it's gold to silver. The gold to silver chart, which basically is showing the relative strength between gold and silver. And of course, not too long ago, we had a very sharp move to the upside. Gold's very, very strong against silver. But typically this chart does range, and you would expect it to, because gold and silver normally do the same thing most of the time. There's a slight uptrend, but for the most part, it does kind of come back down from highs and push up from lows. So it looks like price was just out of sync a few weeks back with this bullish move, and now we've kind of just erased it. In terms of the fundamental reasons, I'm not too sure why silver's being bought more aggressively than gold, but as a whole, they come under the same umbrella of metals, and typically people are putting money into metals at the same time, and typically people are taking money out of metals at the same time. So the trajectory of both markets should be the same, but they will have some different days where one's a bit more bearish, one's a bit more bullish. At the moment, of course, silver is looking 100 times more bullish than gold right now. But in fairness, gold has been flying since the start of the year. The start of the year is here for silver and silver's barely budged. But of course, if I go take a look at gold and map in the start of the year, which is over there roughly, gold's been flying. So I feel like silver, if anything's catching up to gold. Gold's just taking a bit of a breather. Silver's like, yep, this is my chance to catch up. They're both very bullish. I both still expect more upside. At the moment, silver's just looking like the better setup technically. So as to why, I'm not really too sure, too bothered really. I'm just looking for a good trade. And at the moment, gold looks a lot better. Silver looks a lot better, sorry. Yusuf, please thoughts on gold on the 15. Are you bearish or bullish on it? Okay, I'll have a look. No problem, Lord. Happy to help. Julius, kindly smash the like button and sub. Appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying the channel, by the way, please be sure to like and subscribe. It does really help out. I do really appreciate that. It helps promote the content as well. So I do really appreciate everyone who has liked and subscribed. And of course, hit the bell whilst you're at it as well. So you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. So gold on the 15. Would I be bearish or bullish? Let me just get rid of my drawings. So would I be bearish or bullish? I mean, it probably wouldn't be anything, to be honest. The structure isn't that great. I mean, I would be bearish if we were to push back into this kind of area, because that's where we had a bit of a pause. Then I saw some momentum. So if price was to return back to this area, I think if we could see some more rejection, maybe a nice double top, I think that's still a nice area for a short. Would I be looking for anything crazy? No, the market as a whole is pretty flat on the 15. There isn't kind of like an obvious trend to it. There's a slight uptrend there, but nothing that I would get too optimistic about, especially on the 15-minute chart anyway. So yeah, I think from a 15-minute perspective, I would be bearish in this area. But I would have to see how price operates. That would justify the trade or not. If of course, we're just looking very bullish and market's just pushing up without minimal rejection, then of course I wouldn't short. But in this area, I would be bearish. So I would be looking for opportunities. Whether we get one or not, that's a different question. But I would be bearish in this area. The market is just a bit flat for me to be bullish. I don't mind looking to follow this structure here. It's quite impulsive. So yeah, I would be leaning towards the bearish side of things on the 15. Again, my higher time frame thought process with gold is still very bullish. I do expect that to be the bigger move. But on the 15, you can still see a nice intraday drop before we do see the buys on the higher time frames take control. But yeah, from a 50-minute perspective, coming back into an area like 33.50, 33.60, shorts kind of make the most sense to me. The buys, not so much, and especially because the market's a bit flat. And again, when I'm looking at the 15-minute chart, a big thing I'm focusing on is momentum as well, because that helps with the quality of the trade. If structure is very flat or just not trending well, then I wouldn't really want to trade that, especially on the 15, unless I can get some entries right at the top of price or right at the bottom, close to significant lows or close to significant highs. But from a trending perspective, I want to see momentum. I want to see strength, because from a 50-minute time frame, my plan is kind of identify momentum and kind of find an area where I can look to ride that. And like I said, with the bears here, I can see some healthy momentum on the way down. So this gives you an opportunity to potentially jump in and ride some of that momentum back down again. So yeah, I would be bearish up here. Here I would be kind of just neutral, just waiting for price to get there. And of course, maybe we don't even do that. We might push down and that will change things as well. But yeah, a drive higher, I think, is a nice place to short. What's up, open-minded coding? Hope you're well, my man. Good to have you on the stream. Hope you had a good weekend. I did. Thank you. Just an update past. Nice. Congratulations. Good on yourself. Nice. Elevating traders on my to-do list. Beautiful. Yeah, that's great to hear. That is great to hear. Again, when you do pass, you do want to pat yourself on the back, because it is it is an achievement 100%, and especially 100K as well. It gives you the opportunity to make good consistent gains with a decent size account as well. You don't have to force anything. 1% of that is still 1K. So that is very good going, my man. Very good going. And I think in terms of when you do pass the challenge, because a lot of people do get overly excited. The stats are not kind to people when they do pass. I think at least a third of them probably would lose their account within the first couple of weeks, which is just a shame because you've done all the hard work to get to the funding stage, and then you're just going to give it back in 2 weeks. So I think the best thing to do is just focus on trying to keep that account as long as possible, especially like a 100K account. 1% is still 1K, so it's still a meaningful return. But yeah, congratulations, keep it up, my man. So yeah, I do have a trade on Aussie CHF, which I hopped into last weekend. It's been a little bit slow. It looks like it's starting to pick up some momentum, but it's been very, very grindy. I have trailed stops to just underneath the low here. It was like 52.95 something, 57, something like that. So yeah, I have trail stops just below the low there. So kind of reducing the risk on the position, because at the end of the day, price is already respecting resistance. Again, so if we are going to sell off, this could generally be an area which we could sell from. And I've already caught the low here, so there's no need for me to keep risk all the way down here. I'd rather just take the reduced loss than get in with a better entry back at the low if I had to get another signal and then have another attempt at it, rather than getting stopped out completely, then jumping back into another trade. So I have managed to trade a bit with trading the stop loss there. But the key thing I want to see before I go to break even fully and remove risk fully would be the break of the highs here at 0.5354. We've had some momentum this morning, but still it does look a little bit sloppy. Hopefully maybe we do get the breakout, and then I can just trail that completely to break even. Then see how we go. I might lock in some gains at the high here. I think that'll be the first time I just take some profits, and then I will lock in some gains at the high there as well. And the end goal for the trade is a push back into this area. Lovely consolidation. You can see the massive drop we had from that. I think price is naturally going to be attracted towards that area. That's where a lot of selling pressure came from. I think if the market does want to go and find some more sellers, well, they should be waiting up here. So I do think that's where the market's going to drift towards eventually. But still a long way to go. And I will be trading stops as well. I'm not going to just, hold out all the way up there. Because that is asking a lot from the market. But I think there's a good chance we do get there. So, yeah, Aussie CHF looking okay. It has been a little bit of a tough hold because we've just been sideways. Although I've been in worse consolidations than this. Even on the same pair, I was stuck in a consolidation. Actually, that wasn't too bad, to be honest. But a bit worse than this because it was in drawdown. But yeah, if we can get a break of that resistance, I'll look to remove risk and then see if we can go any further. And that will allow me to now trade other Aussie pairs because I'm not looking to jump into any other Aussie pairs until I can remove risk completely. And if you can break the highs there, get a nice close above them, that frees me up some opportunity to jump into other Aussie pairs. And I was looking at Aussie CAD buys this morning. The risk reward wasn't great. But because I still do have that risk on Aussie CHF, I was like, let me not be too greedy here. But I was looking to see if I can jump into some buys, something like this, because it does look like prices kind of breaking out of this channel here and hopefully capitalize on a swing back to highs. But yeah, I stayed away. And I'm kind of hoping there will be a better opportunity in terms of risk reward anyway. So we'll see. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Okay, Hassan, Euro Aussie, we'll take a look. BTC after request, no problem. Ahmed will take a look. Lauder, the DAX, yes, we can. Okay, so let me take a look at Euro Aussie. So Euro Aussie, this is actually a pair which gave me a signal at the same time as Aussie Swiss. And to be honest, in terms of profit, I probably would be floating a little bit more profit if I took Euro Aussie, because this was the entry. You can see, if you look at the time there, 3rd of June 2025, and the Aussie CHF was, I'm pretty sure, 3rd of June 2025 as well. Yeah, I think at the same time, 10 a.m. open. So yeah, at the moment I'm floating like 1R or something. Yeah, around 1R. I think Euro Aussie, yeah, 1.4, 1.5R. But again, I'm not to know which is going to be necessarily the better trade. They're both similar opportunities, which is why I didn't take them both, because they both would have worked or both would have failed. But now Euro Aussie has been a bit sluggish, similar to Aussie CHF, a bit sluggish as well as we do approach support here. Again, same logic applies. If Euro Aussie can break support here, well, we're looking pretty good at that point. And I think there'll be a very likely chance that we do end up heading back to these lows and probably seeing some new ones as well. Again, for Euro Aussie, reason why I've been very bearish on this pair is because we've had a very exaggerated move to the upside, particularly in FX when we do have these big moves. Most of the time, price does have some pretty big pullbacks which follow afterwards, or sometimes they actually start reversals as well, kind of like what happened in COVID. I know this was very externally driven, but same logic applies. Market very overextended to the upside. What happens? We come straight back down and actually have a bit of a reversal for some time. And I would expect kind of similar logic to apply here. Maybe we don't go through a complete reversal, maybe just a bigger pullback before we do push up again, but I do expect to see more downside, and I'm looking for the retest of the high back here at 1.7 roughly. So there's still room to the downside here for Euro Aussie. And to me, this looks like price has just formed another lower high. We had price come back and respect support, which was turn resistance there just about. So I would expect Euro Aussie to keep falling. If we do drive higher, well, that is a nice opportunity for a short again. Because like I said, we are still quite corrective. So maybe we do push up one more time. Who knows? But if not, then I'll look to see if we can clear support here and perhaps use that as resistance. I think that could be a nice intraday opportunity. But in terms of direction, yeah, pretty bearish here for Euro Aussie, expecting us to go and clear out those lows pretty soon. And I'm pretty bullish on Aussie as well. Yes, I will go through Aussie, NZD. Aman, do not spam the chat, please. If you continue to spam, I will have to remove you. No problem, Hassan. Happy to help. Okay, let me go take a look at BTC. So with Bitcoin, yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't see that this morning. Last time I looked was around here just before that big bullish candle. Anyway, so with Bitcoin, I am still bullish with this one just about because we held support here at 102k. And I said on my weekly analysis is that if we do break out this channel here, of course clear resistance too, but I'll expect them to come together. So if we do clear resistance here, break out the channel, I do think there's a very high chance that we push back to the highs there for Bitcoin, because the way we did reject this level was pretty impressive. We had a massive sell-off followed by a very kind of sharp rejection and pretty speedy recovery. It's not like price kind of slowly correctively pushed up, kind of like what we did here. There was none of that, which kind of implies more downside. It was a very kind of push down, push back up again. So I like what I'm seeing. And of course, this morning we've got a bit of momentum coming to the market. Let's see how far that continues. But if this level does break and breaks well, then I would be looking at something like this and a push back to highs. This just looks like a big kind of bull flag, big correction for us to continue pushing up. So yeah, BTC, I would be pretty bullish with this one. I would stay careful because, you know, if this was to pull back, provide a big wick, potentially even flip bearish, well, that's just a rejection at that point. I think that would actually be a decent short back into the low there. So the buys are definitely not confirmed yet. The reason why I'm bullish is because that's the direction of the trend of the market. But for a bullish setup to occur, at least a good one in my eyes, would depend on a solid break of that area of kind of like 107k. If we see that solid break, then kind of similar to platinum, I do think we'll just rocket to the upside here and push back into 111k or 112. So BTC is looking very interesting. Let's see if this upside momentum can continue, and then we should have ourselves a decent setup there. Okay, the DAX, we'll take a look next for Lauder, and then we go through Aussie and ZD. Chintu, do you have a community where you and other members share trades? Yes, I do. If you check the description below, there is a Discord to elevating traders. You can post setups there, share ideas. I share some of my ideas there as well. We can discuss with other traders, all of that jazz. So if you are interested, link in the description, completely free to join as well. But yeah, I do have a Discord community there. And of course, that is open to everyone. So check it out if you want to. Let's go through the DAX. So the DAX, yeah. The DAX is probably the indice which I don't like in terms of the buys right now, because we are failing at the highs quite a lot here. And for the most part, we are very corrective on the way up. You know, this is very corrective price action, which tells me that the DAX is running out of steam and a bigger pullback is on the cards. Again, don't get me wrong, the market is still bullish as a whole. We just created new all-time highs not too long ago. I just think we're due a bit of a dip first, maybe another higher low, and then, you know, we're back on our way. But I wouldn't necessarily be looking for buys right now for the DAX. I think that's the main point here, especially with the fact that I was failing at highs and putting in a potential double top there as well, a bit of a red flag. So do I see an opportunity here? Not really, because would I want to short the DAX? No, I think that's a very aggressive trade to take. Trying to catch the all-time highs on an index is very difficult to do. There's always a little bit more room to the upside. We could always push a little bit higher. So I think the shorts are quite aggressive. Would I be looking to buy the market? Well, if I see a strong enough break above resistance here, I think naturally that could be a nice buy there. Again, I'll keep it short and sweet, because even if we do see a nice breakout, a nice retest, if we stay within the channel, you know, the same logic still applies. I still expect us to break low at some point. So would I sell it? No. Would I buy it after the break and retest there? Maybe, if things look good. I think a decent sell setup could occur if we do break to the downside here, outside of the channel, and then perhaps form some type of setup beyond that. That could be a nice short. And then hopefully we find a pullback for us to buy up again. So yeah, the DAX, I think it's a bit of an awkward one. I don't have a crystal clear setup just yet. I think maybe the clearest one is probably the break and retest of the high here. But again, that does depend on us breaking the high in the first place, which at the moment we're not doing so well at. But yeah, because it's so corrective, rejecting the highs, I do expect to see a bit of a drop for the DAX soon. Whether it happens this week or the week after, or even the week after that, I have no idea. But I do think a drop is going to happen. It's just that the price action isn't looking healthy. Looking at the other US indices, I'd much rather try not to buy them than trying to buy the DAX at this moment in time. Okay, so we'll take a look at Aussie, New Zealand dollar. I think I'll go through my watch list as well. I haven't gone through the watch list for the week just yet. Okay, so so in terms of Aussie, New Zealand dollar, first of all, not my favorite pair at all. So I mean, especially in these conditions. I mean, what's going on here? Atrocious price action. There's a slight uptrend there. But yeah, the price action isn't great at all. A nice breaking test over there. Kind of continuing this bearish structure. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking to do anything really at these prices. I'm not pulling into any area of significance. At least up there we had some support which flipped into resistance. At least down here you got a major trend line we can bounce from. Here we're not necessarily coming into any major support. Middle of nowhere really. So Aussie, New Zealand dollar, I would stay away. I think this is an easy area to give back some profits to the market really. I didn't even know what we're doing here really. It just looks like a very sluggish downtrend. So I'll probably just wait for us to see if we can push back to the low of the trend line, and maybe a big double bottom could form, and that could be a nice area for a bit of a bounce as well. Because for the most part, for Aussie NZD, we've been in the channel for quite a while. So if price does get there again, I would anticipate at least a bit of a bounce. So that could be a nice buy in the short term. I wouldn't be looking for anything too crazy from that level though. But yeah, at this current price, I wouldn't do anything. Again, some charts, it's just better to stay away. And Aussie NZD right now, I would definitely stay away. I'm not seeing anything of significance with the price action. No problem, Lauder. Happy to help. Don't normally trade the market. Okay, yeah. Fair enough. I mean, that might be something to dabble into because I think the DAX is a decent market to trade, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think it looks particularly great right now. I know you do trade some of the US indices, and they're looking a lot better right now than the DAX, at least in my opinion. Okay, pound yen. Okay, I'll go through my watch list. Pound yen is in my watch list, so I'll go through that as well. But yeah, so in terms of no problem, I'm happy to help. So in terms of pound yen, I'm looking at this level here because I'm looking to buy or sell. I can go both ways here with pound yen. If we are going to break to the upside, then I'm looking at push back to 199. Which is the high up there. And if we are going to short, then I want to see price break the trend line, then perhaps we're looking at another swing back into the low, because we do have some bearish structure here. The question is this bearish structure going to continue, or is it reversing? I'm still not too sure, to be honest. We did have just about a break of structure there, but it's very, very slight. It's nothing to get too excited about. So everything is very much on the fence right now of pound yen. But if I do see price clear the high here, well, at that point, I think there's a very high chance we do make our way back to this high. And of course, if we do squeeze and eventually break to the downside, well, I would just look at this as a big double top, 1, 2, and at that point, looking for shorts, lower lows and lower highs, on the way back down into the lows there, and maybe we go a lot further as well. So I can really see price go both ways for pound yen. And a big part to play will be this level here. So if I do see a strong break of this area, then I do think some buys look good there. Even on the 4-hour chart, it's a pretty big range to work with. You've got about 300 pip range there. If I can get like even 100 pip stop loss, I could still be looking at least a 1 to 2 into the highs there. So it's an opportunity which I'm looking at. And of course, if I see healthy rejection, I will be looking for shorts as well, because I don't mind trying to trade it back to the low of this channel, and then maybe hoping that we do get the breakout and then holding on to some more positions as well. So pound yen is an opportunity which I'm looking at. In terms of my bias, like I said, it's not set yet because I don't know which way price is going to break, if it's going to break the level or respect it. But the key thing is, no matter which way price goes, we can either go up or down. There's only 2 ways price can go. Regardless of the direction, I do have levels and expectations for both directions. So if price does break the high, I automatically know what I'm doing. If price does reject, well, I automatically know what I'm doing with that as well. So that's the key thing, really. But yeah, pound yen 196, eyes peeled on that level. Right now is a slight rejection, but as I said earlier in the stream, just looks very kind of half-hearted. There's not a lot of momentum there, so I'm not looking to follow that. So I'm kind of hoping to see if we can come into the level again and then see how price develops from there onwards. But pound yen, something I'm looking at. Euro yen, something I'm looking at as well. This one as well, very kind of rejection. Price back at resistance, which is great, but I want to see kind of solid rejection, really tell me that price is not going to break through this level, and then that would justify me having an entry. I know there's a slight bearish engulfing candle, but it's minimal. I'm not trying to take every engulfing candle I see. I'm trying to take a particular set view, which allows me to kind of position myself well, because not every bearish engulfing candle, every bullish engulfing candle is worthwhile taking. And in that case, I wouldn't deem that bearish engulfing candle to be either. But euro yen, very corrective pair. Again, a similar situation to euro to pound yen in terms of the direction is still kind of on the fence. Are we indeed a bullish market and pushing higher? I don't see it really. I still think this is the likely move for euro yen back into lows here. So I still like the shorts for euro yen. And I'm just going to keep an eye to see how price develops at this level. Kind of hoping to see if we can get another drive back into the high, then another strong rejection off the back of that. And that would be enough for me to get into a trade. Again, would I be looking to try and trade it all the way down here? Not really, not in one go. I will have areas where I'll look to manage the trade in terms of going break even, in terms of taking partials, in terms of trading stops as well. So it's not just I'm going to take the trade and just hope that we do get here, because that is a long way to go. And a lot can happen in that time. So I will be managing the trade along the way, but it's just nice to know that we've got the potential to run to those lows. Because whenever I do take a trade, it's always, how can I maximize profit here? How far can we go that it still makes sense? Well, in euro yen's case, I would say we can go pretty far if it's still making sense. For the most part, all of this is resistance. If we can hold on to that, there is some room for us to drop into. So euro yen, I like the shorts with this one as well. Swiss yen, I don't mind it. It's probably my least favorite out of the yen pairs. I like euro and pound. Swiss, I think would probably be third place if I had to. But again, coming back into major resistance. If I, in fact, span to the weekly time frame, again, you can see where we're trading back in this high here to our left. I do think there's room for us to actually have another drop and come back into lows. It's almost like a ranging market, and essentially we're just at the upper end of the range. So if price does reject this, I do think we can drop. So again, another trade which has a lot of room for us to move into, which means risk reward could look very good. Again, I'm not necessarily trying to hold on for the trade all the way to the low. There'll be areas where I can bank partials along the way and trail stops as well. But we're coming into a very significant level, respected it once, twice, third time. Now let's see if we can get a fourth. I mean, so far we are rejecting, but again, I want to see something a little bit stronger to entice me to a position. So looking for a little bit more before I do take an entry. But same thing with pound yen. We've got these higher lows I have to watch out for. So that trend line would definitely be my first major target. And if I do see price get to the trend line and start respecting it well, I may even call it quits there. And just get out with a small profit. But Swiss yen shorts on the watch list as well, keeping a close eye on that. Euro USD is on the watch list. Not too sure if we're going to get the entry, but it's on there. This is the opportunity I'm looking at. Not so much the breaking test of the high, because on the 4-hour chart, I don't think I'll get the risk reward I'm after. I think this is something to look at if you're like on an hourly or a 30-minute time frame. I think that could be a nice breaking test to follow. This is kind of what I was hoping for this week, especially because of how corrective we've been. We've got some of these weaker lows here, which price can go and potentially manipulate, push back into this area. From a higher low, we've got some significant support as well. Once, twice, resistance over there briefly, support over there again. Potentially might act as support again. And I find the next higher low, and then, yeah, maybe a swing back to the highs. So Euros on the watch list as well. Pounds on the watch list as well. If you get a retest of this level, again, not too sure if we'll see it right now because USD has been looking a bit weak. But if you were to get there, I will consider some buys. Dollar CAD, I'm actually pretty bullish on, and I'm actually looking for some upside. For dollar CAD because we are coming back into this range here. I'm looking to see if we can have a bit of a bounce. So dollar CAD's a little bit of a kind of a hedge idea. Yes, pound yen. We'll take a look at. Please don't spam the chat. You know, it does ruin it for other people as well because they're just seeing your messages kind of block up the chat. So please do not spam the chat. Thank you. But yeah, in terms of dollar CAD as well, nice consolidation. I'm actually looking for a bounce for some longs, which does go against my USD bias, but I don't mind it because it's kind of like a hedge to my idea. I'm very bearish in USD, expecting that to be the bigger move in the market, but I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, well, dollar's going to be bullish, and I expect dollar CAD to have a bit of a bounce. So if I do see sufficient opportunities to buy dollar CAD, I will entertain the idea as well. So if we do push a little bit deeper, again, I'm looking for kind of double bottoms, price to kind of consolidate a little bit, really confirm that support is holding, strong rejection. I wouldn't mind jumping into some buys. I'll be quite aggressive in terms of how I manage the trade because I am going against all of this momentum. I know I'm at a nice area, but at the same time, just because you're at a nice area of support or demand doesn't mean that, you know, price is going to magically run 200 pips in your favor. The market still has a lot of work to do. But again, there'll be areas where I can manage the trade, move stops as well, which is the key part of the trade idea. But we are coming to a nice place. So dollar CAD, I am actually bullish on, looking for some longs. I'm not so concerned about sells anymore. So dollar CAD buys on the watch list. Of course, silver on the watch list. I think this is actually probably the clearest pair that I have on the watch list in terms of the idea and what I'm trying to do. Prices, of course, broken through the highs very aggressively. Breaking through 35 there, left behind a lovely range just below us. So again, looking to see if we can come back to retest that. Looks like silver's having a massive breakout. Looks like metals are on the up at the moment. Maybe not so much gold, but in general, they're on the up a little bit. So I wouldn't mind trying to take a slice of that pie. And if we could push back into their support, that'd be brilliant. And hopefully follow some more momentum. New Zealand CAD is on the watch list, but I'm not too sure if I get an opportunity now. It's looking quite bullish. I feel like I might have missed the boat a little bit with this one. I was hoping to see if we can get pushed back into the low of the range here. But I'm not too sure if we're going to get that right now. We've had a strong close this morning. I wonder if we are going to drive higher. If that's the case, that's the case. But that's where the opportunity lies. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Aussie CAD, I do like the buys as well. Excuse me, I do like the buys for this one as well. But again, I think I might be missing out on the lows here. So I will kind of shift the bias a little bit for a retest like that. But the expectation is a push back to the high. We're expecting major support to our left here. You can see massive support, big drive higher. Of course, that was our massive drop through the level. We recovered that. Now looks like we're holding our support again. So I do think we can see a similar rally back into the high. So Aussie CAD buys looks pretty good. And I'd probably say last but not least, we've got Euro Pound buys too. I like Euro Pound too. If we can push back into the low here, reject well. Lovely area of demand to our left. I think that's a nice place for us to drive into and potentially buy off again. And of course, I'm managing Aussie CHF at the moment, but that's just already a trade I'm in. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of my watch. There's quite a few pairs there actually. That's probably like 9 or 10 to be honest. But of course, I don't expect all 9 or 10 to actually shape up this week. I probably expect to see 2 or 3 max really actually shape up and gives me good entries. And yeah, probably about 2 or 3 to be honest. Which again is all I'm kind of looking for. If I can get on average a couple trades a week, that's great. Especially a couple good ones, not just kind of any random trade, but decent trades that fit the plan well, good quality. That's really what I'm looking for. Anyway, yeah, I know you trade US 30 quite a bit, Lauda. I did look at pound yen. I'll go through dollar yen. Yusuf, please thoughts on dollar yen longs, 143.9. 954. I just don't like how the lower high are forming on the 4 hour and bearish, please. Okay, we will take a look. So you don't like, okay, you don't like how the lower highs are forming the 4 hour. Yeah, I agree. I think for the most part, dollar yen is pretty flat. In terms of the major swing highs in the 4 hour, you know, these are the major swing highs I would focus on in the 4 hour chart. This is kind of what I would call just noise in terms of the market moving sideways, because after all, there is a pretty clear downtrend we can all see here. Yes, things are getting a little bit chaotic down at the lows, but for the most part, the market has been falling. So until we see significant evidence that that isn't the case anymore, like a break of structure, that would show us, okay, that maybe we are going to switch direction and maybe we should start planning for some buys. But at the moment, the market's still putting lower highs in. It's even putting lower highs in here as well. So for the most part, dollar yen is still pretty bearish. I do agree in terms of how it's forming. I don't really like it either. It's not the clearest bearish structure you'll ever see. So in terms of trading the opportunity, it's a little bit difficult. But if we do break the lows here, I feel like shorts below that do look pretty straightforward in terms of the opportunity, just because, yeah, if we do break that support, well, the next big level would be the low. So I would say that's a straightforward opportunity, not necessarily will guarantee to play out, of course not, but just in terms of what we're trying to do with the market, that would make a lot of sense to me. Inside of here, I think that's quite chaotic, a bit of a range. The only thing I'd be looking to do here is buy low and sell high and just kind of sculpt the highs and lows of the range, really. I think that would make sense. I wouldn't try and trade in the middle here. That's the maximum speculation indecision in the market. So I would avoid doing that. But if you're looking to short the market, I think that's the best opportunity you can find. Because if you can see a solid breakout, that shows not only, okay, is momentum back with the bears, but breaking significant support again. The likelihood of that bearish trend continuing is very high now. So I think there's a high chance we do push back to the low. I think the only question is, do we actually get a retrace? Because sometimes price will break out and just keep falling. But if it does retest, I think that's a nice opportunity to keep a lookout for. So yeah, I do agree things are a little bit unorthodox right now with dollar yen. But there's no kind of significant change in the market structure other than us being really flat. So I do think we're just gonna push back to the lows here, which is 140, and probably just continue through them as well. Lorraine, Euro Yen, okay, we'll take a look. So Euro Yen is a pair which I'm looking to short this week. The rejection's been not great, so I'll stay at the market for now. But it's holding the level, which is something to note 100%. But yeah, Euro Yen's been so corrective, up and down, chopping around. There's no kind of real consistency in terms of a direction for the market. So as we do approach highs like this, it's an area which you're looking to short, really. So with Euro Yen, I'm looking to see if we can get a more aggressive rejection there, and I'll hop into something myself. And not looking for anything crazy. There is longer term targets I have, but they're more to do with a higher time frame. I would say even if you can get a push back into support there, that's a decent trade in itself. How many pips is that from that level? You're looking at about 200 pips there. Get yourself a 50 pip stop loss, 75 pip stop loss. Could still easily be looking at 1 to 2 there. So yeah, Euro yen, very, very nice opportunity. Like the way it's respecting the high as well. Bit more of kind of like a mean reversion opportunity, not necessarily following a trend here or looking for a pullback of anything. Price just approached a major area of resistance. You can see by the conditions of the market that we do tend to respect highs and push back down again. So I think shorts for the most part make a load of sense. It's just before I jump into the trade, I want to see a very kind of strong rejection. You can see with this candle here, very kind of aggressive, strong, meaningful rejection there. Here, it's a slight bullish engulfing candle, and as I drop to the hourly chart, you can see how kind of flat the market is there, not really pushing with some strength, which again doesn't mean that we won't reject the level. It just lowers the quality of the setup. So it's not to say that this entry just is wrong or bad. It's just not of the quality I'm looking for. So for that reason, I'm kind of just waiting to see if we can develop, maybe push back in again, double top, and then reject, and then hopefully I get a trade. And yeah, targets back to support there or support here, I think make a lot of sense for a short. And if you take a look at the yen basket as well, I'm pretty bearish on this one. I'm still looking for a push into the lows here, which does make things awkward for my selling bias, because if I'm looking for another drive back into support, then that should mean more weakness for the yen, which of course would mean that pound yen, euro yen, Swiss yen, all those probably have another drive higher, which is why I'm kind of not so confident about getting into some longs, shorts just yet. If the rejection here was more meaningful, maybe I would be a bit more convinced, but I do think the yen can approach support here. Again, if the rejection does go well here, I think that's maybe when the yen does turn around. So I'm kind of looking to see if euro yen, pound yen, Swiss yen can kind of buy time a little bit. See if we can get a drop back into the lows here. And maybe from there we do turn around and see a bit more of an aggressive reaction. But I'm looking at the yen basket right now. Still very consistent with the lower highs. I think, yes, maybe we have a slight bounce here, but I think we do continue to drop and see some new lows, or at least come back and test these lows. So I don't think euro yen's quite ready to be shorted yet. Unless we approach resistance again and see a very significant rejection, then yeah, maybe. But at the moment, not quite fitting the bill for me. I know CAD yen saw some nice rejection this morning as well. But again, very, very sluggish and not quite at the highs yet either. NZUSD, okay, Trev, we'll take a look. Dollar yen as well. A lot of people talking about dollar yen today. What's going on? I'm not even a big fan of dollar yen right now. In terms of NZUSD, yeah, so this is what I've got for NZUSD. The market, for the most part, is very, very corrective, but we do have a big level, and the plan for NZUSD has always been waiting for this level to break first and then looking for a retest after to then buy. Because we've been so corrective, it hasn't really provided a nice breaking retest opportunity, because essentially I want to see a clean break of the level to imply there's a lot of momentum, and then I want to look for the retest afterwards. As you can see, we've had half-hearted breaks. It hasn't really been anything too clear cut. It's been a break above, break below, break above, break below. So it hasn't really been doing what I wanted it to be doing. If we can see some momentum continue, even now we've had some nice momentum, but it's still stuck in resistance and we can still roll back over. So I want to see price really commit to the upside, and then I'll be looking for the retest, and then it might line up with the trend line pretty well, and that could end up actually being a decent buy opportunity. But I am bullish on NZUSD, so I'm looking to buy the pair. but this break and retest is the best I've got. For the most part, it's very corrective, and if we do end up breaking the low of the channel, that could mean a bit of a sell there. So I would watch out for that. I can still see a world where USD does sell off a little bit. But yeah, let's see what we can do in reference to that channel and in reference to this level, and then that could end up being a nice buy. Okay, dollar yen, yes, we'll take a look. So it comes to level shift. No, do not full margin your account. It does look like a nice setup, but if it does fail, which any setup could do no matter how good it is, yeah, that's your account gone. So do not do that at all. That is not a good idea. Charles, please, why is everyone spamming the chat today? Has everyone just woke up on the wrong side of the bed? What's going on? Charles, can you please not spam the chat? Because if you continue, I will have to remove you. Deadly, okay, I'll take look at your entity. Yeah, of course, Trev, with anything, risk lightly. That's the aim of the game. At no point in your trading career should you be looking to full margin your account. That just makes no sense. Like, even if you're the best trader in the world, you wouldn't do that either, because you'd understand that, you know, it could go south very, very quickly. So whatever trade you do, always risk lightly, because that's how you stay in the game. Risk heavy and you'll be out quickly. You might have a good run initially, but it will go downhill. Okay, so let me take a look at dollar yen. So yeah, dollar yen with this one, I still do have a pretty bearish bias, and I'm still looking for a push back into the low at 139. But in terms of an opportunity to actually short the pair, this is the best I've got, because I don't really want to operate within the range here. So, I mean, for the most part, we are still very consistent with the low highs, which again still gives us the impression that the market is likely to sell off. But I wouldn't look to try and short within here. Unless we push back to the high of the range, then yeah, I think that's also a nice place to short as well. But this kind of really confirms things in terms of the bias, because a strong break of that support, again, tells us that sellers are back into the market. Buyers can no longer hold support anymore. There's probably a very high chance that we do end up back at lows there. And the retest would be a great opportunity to actually trade that. So, very bearish for dollar yen. And yeah, I would wait for the break and retest of 142.5. In here, I'll probably just leave price alone at that point. Okay, this guy needs to go. But yeah, hopefully that made sense on dollar yen. Aussie dollar, okay, we'll take a look. So yeah, Aussie dollar, I'm actually keeping an eye for sales. I think I forgot to mention this one with the watch list. I'm also looking to short Aussie dollar as well. But yeah, if we can respect the high of this resistance or the high of the channel, either or, I will be looking to see if we can take Aussie dollar lower, because when we are very corrected like this, I'm looking for us to actually break to the downside. So the reason why I like the shorts is because there's room for us to move into. If I do get short of Aussie, then the target for the trade will just be probably the low of the channel, but I will try and leave a positions to run just in case I see a breakout. Because if it does break out, I think there is a lot of room for us to move into, at least back to the low here, which is 0.634. So I could potentially double the pips on that trade. But we've been in the channel for quite a while, and it's rebounded the low on numerous occasions. So if it does push back into the low of the channel, well, yeah, I think we could definitely bounce there again, because it's going to take a lot of energy for us to break out. But yeah, Aussie dollar shorts look good, very corrective. Every time the market does spike higher, it does kind of fail. So we're having another drive at the moment. Let's see what price does. At the moment, we're still looking pretty bullish. Even if I drop to the hourly chart, I mean, we're slowing down now, but you need to see a lot more momentum than that before I would short. And if this level doesn't hold and we do push through, well, the focus becomes at the top of that trend line. And again, looking for rejection to take price lower. But yeah, that's kind of what I've got for Aussie. I mean, at the most part, it's just a very corrective market, so I would be very careful in terms of how I trade this. The logic will be to just sell high and buy low, because an ascending channel is essentially a range just slanted. So the same logic applies. You don't want to be operating in the middle, where I've got this dotted line represents the middle of the channel. You kind of don't want to be finding entries anywhere in this area, because that's where the maximum indecision is going to be, the maximum chaos is going to be, and just having stop losses, you'll be at risk there. Whereas if you get your stop loss above the high here or above the high of the channel, instantly your stop loss is in a much better place, and you can have a bit more freedom with the trade as well. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Aussie dollar. And it's interesting because, again, I'm looking to short Aussie dollar, which kind of relies on USD strength, and for the most part I'm pretty bearish on the USD. So my Aussie dollar short idea and my dollar CAD long idea is kind of a hedge to what my bias is at the moment with the dollar. I did say this week, though, I do expect to see a bigger bounce with USD. So I've been looking for us to kind of push off a little bit and do something like this, which was the plan coming into the week, kind of where my Euro idea comes from as well. You're looking for a bit of a drop there for Euro back into these areas and then rebuy. And kind of lining up with this trend line to a degree. So that was the idea for Euro. A push down, take out some of these weaker buyers, weaker swing lows, push back into significant support again, maybe into this area of demand. And maybe from there we push on. Same thing with the DXY as well. Take out some of the weaker swings there, push to the upside, and then maybe from there we sell off. Because again, we had the 3 really strong rejections at this low, 1, 2, 3. So it tells me that the buyers are doing a pretty good job at this level, and we might respect it again, who knows. If we do break through support, then that's kind of what I'll look at. But yeah, for dollar, that's kind of my bias for now. And dollar CAD and Aussie dollar, I'm kind of looking to see if I can catch some strength from USD. But I need some more downside first for dollar CAD, because I don't want to be buying it now. It's not quite in my zone, I know. Draw it to the wick, kind of taps into it, but I want to have a deeper test than that before I do buy. So I'll stay on the sidelines for now and wait for the opportunity to come to me. But it's definitely something I'm going to be looking at. No problem, Lee. Happy to help. I would say, in terms of the market, that's most likely to give me an entry. Probably one of the yen pairs, to be honest. Pound JPY, Euro yen, or Swiss yen. So I think those 3 are probably going to focus a lot today, because like dollar CAD, not quite near the zone yet. Actually, I'll probably throw in Aussie dollar to that bracket as well, because we're trading at the level now. So yeah, I'll say those 4 pairs I'll focus a lot today. Of course, managing my position at the moment as well, but there's not a lot to do with that. I just need to watch to see if price will break that resistance or not. If it does break the resistance, trail stops to break even. Other than that, there's nothing else I really need to watch out for. But Aussie dollar, I'm going to be studying the candlesticks to see how they close. If things look good enough, I'll find an entry. I know it kind of contradicts my Aussie idea, but it goes in the opposite direction, so I don't mind, to be honest. because if the Aussie dollar trade does play out, then I would expect Aussie CHF to come knock me out at break even, hopefully. And then if Aussie CHF does play out, well, hopefully it will make up for the loss in Aussie dollar plus more as well. So kind of whatever the outcome is, I should walk away with more profit than I do lose. So I don't mind the shorts here for Aussie dollar. But yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this one and the other yen pairs. Like I said, I'm not completely sold with the yen pairs yet, just because I think there is room for the JPY basket. And the rejection hasn't been particularly great so far. So that's going to need to improve a lot. But the other pairs like silver's going to take at least a day or two to pull back before I can actually focus on a long for that one. Yeah, it's going to at least take a day or two. Gold's not quite there yet. I need to break above the highs here for me to even consider some longs for gold. So that's still at least a few days away. So no need to really pay too much attention to that. But things can change quickly. I'll go through the news for the week as well. Dan, pound USD, we'll take a look. Gold, Farhan. We're on gold right now, conveniently. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for gold. We, of course, got this channel here, which essentially has made me bullish for gold. We broke out the channel a couple of weeks ago. So I'm basically looking to see if this uptrend is going to continue back to the highs. And if it does, well, this is something where I want to get involved with. Because for the most part, we've been pretty consistent with the higher lows. Is this another one? Maybe. If it is, great. I'll try and find a retest to continue that that bias. Okay, so news for this week. Monday, nothing really. Tuesday, unemployment rate for pounds, 7 a.m. UK time. That's pretty much it for Tuesday. Wednesday, CPI, dollar, 130. That's an interesting one. Thursday, GDP pounds, jobless claims USD, PPI USD, and then Friday, Michigan consumer sentiment, not anything crazy. But yeah, I think of course CPI is the big one for this week regarding dollar. So I think that's the one I'm going to definitely keep an eye on. Okay, let me go through pound. No problem, Yusuf. Have a good one, my man. We'll catch you tomorrow, hopefully. Have a great day as well. Oh, EURUSD. Completely forgot about EURUSD. Let me go for that one first because you did request that one earlier. Apologies. So yeah, EURUSD. So again, I do have a bearish bias on this one. Same logic as Euro Aussie. Both kind of have very overextended moves to the upside in the past few weeks, which is this move here, kind of breaking out of this consolidation. So I'm looking for price to come back and retest this area really. And we also did just about take out the COVID highs as well, which again is pretty significant. And I do think price is kind of just reacting to that. So I do think there's more downside to be had for EURUSD. At the moment, you can kind of see we're consolidating here with the wicks of those candles. So if you can break support, I do think that just takes us back into this area here. So if I drop to the 4-hour chart, if we can clear the low, I do think price just kind of rolls over and just continues back into the low there. It's a very, very correct market, but if we could see something like that, I think that does shape up to a nice short. And then, kind of 1.85 big psychological level, I think that would make for a good target there. But of course you do want to see the break of that. There might be some buys as we approach support, but I think the sells where the bigger move is at. So I'd rather wait for the break of support then look for some retests, and then yeah, a push to 1.85 is where I do see price falling towards. Power trading USD likewise. Yeah, I mean the market is choppy, but again, that's the reason. I mean, when you got a market that's consolidating, of course, nothing's happening at that time, so there is an opportunity. But of course, as soon as it breaks out, well, then there is opportunity, and that's the same thing for USD. At the moment, I wouldn't touch it, to be honest. But if I was to see a strong break like that, well, now I think there's opportunity, pullbacks, continuation. So yes, at the moment there isn't anything, and I would want to trade other pairs right now. But just because there's anything now doesn't mean in 2-3 days time there might be a trade. So planning ahead for that is going to keep you up to date. But yeah, I do agree the market is very, very messy, so I would stay away. But as soon as we see a decent breakout, I think USD looks good again. Okay, let me go through pound. So pound USD for the most part, very bullish on. Of course, lovely uptrend at play there. It's been amazing. Cleared the highs there like it was nothing. But we have found some resistance and we are kind of stalling a little bit. You can see the high here, major resistance. We had a massive wick through that level, big rejection and a strong break of the channel. So I did say at the start of the week, I'm looking for pound to sell off a little bit. We've seen some upside, but I do think we can sell off here. I'm looking for a push back into 1.344. And then from there, hopefully some buyers can come into play and we can see a bounce. As long as price stays above that, I stay bullish on pound USD. If price does break the lows here, that would put me bearish because I would treat this as a massive fake out. And I would be looking for kind of like a big head and shoulder pattern to form. Kind of got your left shoulder there, your head and the right shoulder. But we can speak more about that when it actually does happen. But yeah, for now, pound, I do think we can go lower. Back into 1.341. Could even look at some rejections there for some entries. But I do think we can push lower. And then, yeah, hopefully some buys later on. Because I don't want to be buying up here. Although the market is bullish, yes, I need to see either a break of the high, then a retest for a buy, or we pull back into support. At no point would I want to be buying directly into resistance, especially after seeing price reject it so well on its last attempt to break through. So despite the bullish trend with pound USD, I would say we could probably expect to see a bit of a drop, failure at the highs, break of the channel, and then we'll go from there. And of course, the DXY is going to play a big role. If the dollar does push the upside and gives us that bigger pullback there, well, that should give us the bigger pullback for pound as well. And hopefully for euro, because I do prefer euro to pound in terms of the buys. So if I can get euro to push down here, great. I'll be trying to find some entries to take it back up again. But yeah, for now, euro looking very, very corrective. And pound looking corrective as well. And dollar for the most part, just very corrective. But yeah, pound is still up, so I would still retain that bullish bias. But yeah, I'm going to need price to push lower first if I'm going to follow that. How is Aussie dollar doing? Because it looks like USD strength is coming into the market a little bit. Yeah, Aussie not doing too much. I think Aussie's a bit strong, that's why. We're not quite seeing the reaction I'm looking for. But yeah, I think USD is going to be interesting this week. I think CPI is going to be a big one in terms of putting in where we think dollar is going to go from there onwards. Because NFP last week didn't really do too much damage. Yeah, we didn't really do too much. I think, yeah, dollar was already looking bullish on Friday, I'm pretty sure. And then NFP, yeah, NFP kind of paused that. And then only Monday is when we kind of stepped in bearish, didn't we? So yeah, NFP didn't really do much really on Friday. And again, I was mentioning that on the stream. Sometimes NFP could be a very big hitter and you might see price just completely explode and even cause a trend till next NFP. I've seen where we've had NFP come into the market, a big breakout happens, and it continues being very, very bullish or very bearish. Of course, with some minor pullbacks here and there, but for the most part, until the next NFP event. So NFP can be a very big hitter and cause trends like that. And I've seen NFP where it does absolutely nothing. The market barely moves 20, 30 pips. And we remain in the consolidation for another few weeks until the next NFP. So it can go both ways, really. Of course, as a trader, you want to manage your risk because you're not to know if it's going to be a big hitting event or it's just going to be a bit of a dud. You're not to know that. So you got to protect your risk regardless. And sometimes the market's not necessarily waiting for NFP. It might be CPI, it might be the Fed interest rate. It's normally one of those three is going to give you the bigger move for the US dollar. And depending on the kind of context of everything, sometimes NFP is not the big one to drive price. Maybe it's CPI on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, dollar is pretty sideways. So it's going to take a lot of energy for us to break out. Because even if we do push higher, like I said, as long as we don't take up the high here, I do think we just roll back over really and come back to lows. So I'm not quite convinced. The only way I do turn bullish on the dollar as a whole is if we do push above the high here. Excuse me. And then I'll expect price to push to 102 after that. And then we'll go from there. I'm not sure about a complete reversal, but we'll see. And that goes for most of the dollar pairs as well. Same for euro. If we take up that low, I will just switch the bias around. But yeah, I don't see us doing that for now. I'm going to stay with my bullish bias and just look for those bigger pullbacks. And that's where the opportunity is, because if I can position myself there, that means I've probably got a decent risk reward back into the high, probably at least a 1 to 2 there, and I probably can get myself a 1 to 3, maybe a 1 to 4 back into the high. Depends on the entry and the stop loss, of course, but there's the opportunity to ride it back into the highs there as well. And I don't think I would push the trade further than that, because the dollar is still quite overextended, euro is quite overextended. Yes, it's a nice bullish trend, but I do think a bigger pullback is still very much on the cards at some point, so I don't want to overstay my welcome. But yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm not in any other trade apart from Aussie CHF, so not a lot to do. This is pretty corrective as well, but all I'm waiting for really is just a strong close above this level here at 0.53. If I can get a strong close above that level, great. I'll just trail this up to break even, and we go from there. Next target here, I can just set an alert really. I'll look to take some partials. Same with the high here, and then I'll trail stops at this point as well, and I'll just see if I can book the rest there, or if the market takes me out at another place. But I'm very much using the combination between trading stops and partials, trying to maximize the risk reward, because in FX it's difficult to use trading stops outright because the market does kind of correct and flop around quite a lot. So trading stops I don't think are optimal in terms of really taking advantage of the market day to day. Of course, some markets trading stops will work a lot better if things are trending quite a lot. Maybe it's a very volatile environment. You know, trading stops can work well in this condition, but in this condition, trading stops will get eaten alive. You know, you won't see healthy profits in conditions like that. This is where partials or just having finite take profits, you know, hard take profits will work a lot better. So I think a hybrid between the two, depending on the context of the trade, does really allow me to be a bit more flexible and push trades when it makes sense to push trades, and of course be a bit more sensible when it's actually best to just take your profit and run. Gerald, okay, New Zealand yen. We'll take a look at. I haven't actually looked at New Zealand yen all stream actually. I haven't actually taken a look. But yeah, New Zealand yen looking very bullish. Looks like it's just going to push back to the high there. Not a lot to do with this one, to be honest, as we do approach resistance. There might be some sells at this level for a bit of a short. But I do think price can actually break through this level, to be honest. I'm not so keen about the short, mainly because we did break structure here. So, after a break of structure, I'm always kind of expecting a new higher high, and then maybe we get a bigger pullback afterwards. So, yeah, I would say keep an eye on the level because it could present potentially a short opportunity. I could be wrong. Maybe we don't break out, of course. So, naturally, shorts could look good there. But I do think price will break the high, and then we can look for the next pullback afterwards. Because New Zealand yen's been in a pretty much a bearish trend, and it looks like we could be shifting that and turning to a bullish one. So again, that next pullback could take a few days to actually play out as well. So at the moment in time, the only opportunity I can see would be if price rejects the high well and some shorts afterwards. Other than that, I'm not seeing much here for New Zealand yen. And that's because we're approaching the level. If we're further down, we can probably work out some buys along the way, but looks like we're about to hit the level pretty soon. So the only thing that looks good will be some sells. And that, guys, has brought us to the end of the stream. If you have found it useful, enjoy the stream today, found it informative, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. It does really help out. Promote the content, and of course allows you guys to not miss out on any streams or uploads. Of course, check out the Discord as well to Elevating Traders. Completely free to join. Link in the description. Also at the top of the chat. You can chat with other traders, chat with myself, share ideas there as well. So if you are interested to join a community, go check it out. It's completely free to join. But guys, appreciate you tuning into another stream. Again, I'll be live every day this week, Tuesday to Friday, same time as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, come and say hi, and we'll discuss what is going on in the charts. But thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Have a great one, and I'll catch you all in the next one.